Hello, people. Welcome back to Rising World Building Wollaton Hall. We have been busy. Let me show you. There she is. Most of it. We now have the second floor on. We have the clerestory windows of the Great Hall. We now have the prospect room, and we now have our four corner towers and our four corner round turrets towers, which are purely decorative. They don't actually serve any purpose. But there they are. Let me take you for a quick flyover. Let's go up and have a look. There are end windows, our four silo-looking towers, which need embellishment. And the south side, back side. Let's go in. We're going into the south salon, where nothing much has changed. I'm still awaiting some input on my carpet decision. And the stairway, which I did show you before. Quite pleased with the stairway. In fact, let's go on up. I'm flying at the moment, but that's fine. We're going to have a look in the Great Hall. Some things have changed. We now have all of our windows trimmed out. I cannot make the inside of these windows white just yet. We may be getting some tool that will allow us to paint a block on one side, but so far we do not have that. And because this is a single block width, if I change the block to white here, it would change it on the outside, and I don't want to do that. So this is basically the intended look. We have the double thick walls with the sloped blocks here that allow the light to penetrate into this very deep room. And down here, we've made a few changes. You can see that the Great Hall screen is taking shape. We're getting some columns in. We're going to redo this upper balcony here because I believe this is too tall. We're going to bring it down a block. I have completed the arches, the archways that go here. This will all be embellished with carvings, which I will put on with posters. There's a lot of trimming out that needs to happen, but we did get at least the columns in the proper sizes and spacings. The columns in the real building are tapered slightly so that they're wider at the bottom than they are at the top, but we can't do that yet in Rising World. Just don't have that kind of capability. But I am very pleased with these arches. I went on to the Rising World forums and I found a tutorial by a user whose name is Miwarre. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's Miwarre. If you look on the forums or indeed on YouTube for Rising World tutorials building a fountain or well, and you will find a wonderful, easy to follow tutorial in both German and English under different titles, but they do exist in both languages. And that will show you how to do these pretty smooth, large arches. And I have tried to do this in numerous different ways, And the method that she uses is by far the easiest and gets you the best results. So I really recommend that if you are looking to do any kind of arches like this. And I used that very same method in building my towers up above. In fact, I'm going to go up here because you haven't yet seen the prospect room, which is this room here. I spent some time creating my windows, and as you see, I've got them embellished a little bit using the tools that we have, and that would be the new resizable wood log, which I created in my block pattern. I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. And you'll see that up above, I need to do the embellishments to these windows up above as well. And the windows on each level are slightly different in design. These windows, as I said, I believe in my previous episode, that in the real building, this window is roughly 3/4 to, yeah, I would say about 3/4 of this size. And so these windows are actually a little bit differently proportioned and possibly about a block shorter. But this is as close as I could get using the tools that we do have, or the blocks that we do have. I suppose that now that I know that better method for doing the round arcs, that I could have done, I could have built the window myself out of blocks. And then that way I could have made the inside white. But I didn't do that, and I really don't feel like redoing it. It was a considerable amount of time that this took. I did create one block with the embellishments and just placed it all the way across. I wasn't sure exactly how I would do the embellishments on these, so I didn't put the embellishments on. And I will do those one at a time. It's not that big of a deal. But the prospect room is finished, or nearly so. We've got the flooring in, and the flooring in this room is a bare pine or spruce, and it does have some variation in color, although not this uniformly. But this was a pretty close match. I could have gone with just an all sort of white pine look, but I think this is interesting. And I've got my windows in here pretty much finished out the way I want. There is a window treatment that goes in here, and a cornice that goes up at top, and some wainscoting that goes across. But those are all finished things that we'll be doing later on. So I'm pretty pleased we've made good progress. And I got these dudes on. There is, in the real building, only one way up from the second floor to the prospect room, and from the prospect room up to the ceiling, or the roof area, which would get you access into these little rooms, but I am not going to add that. The rooms serve no purpose. They're just little turrets. There are some windows that I need to put in, and I'll be doing that. There's some very small windows that go, and there's trim that goes around, and there is an angled bottom, I don't know what you'd call it. I really don't know what you'd call it. It's a kind of an angled feature that goes down, and there are also buttresses that go down this way on the building. And I think I'm going to do the bottom treatment of these first, and then put the buttresses in. So those are all things that need doing. One of the things that I can show you is my work area. So you can see how I built this thing in stages, and also how it took several tries to get it just right. In fact, this top on this tower here is just a little bit too big. It really should be the same size as the cylinder, but it turned out just a little bit too big. And after making one previous that was actually much too big, although for some reason I couldn't tell when I made it, it was actually much too wide, and so I wound up remaking it over here. and placing it on top of the cylinder, and then blueprinting the cylinder. And I actually went into the ground and removed my beams and blocks that I used to create this, so that I wouldn't capture them when I copied it. And so this is what I did. When I built the cylinder, I built it horizontally using Miwarre's method, and here are my other attempts at doing the arc. This is the one that I used inside in the screen. And you see I built this one vertically, and I built it against a block wall, and then removed the blocks. And for this, I built it horizontally. And then once I had the first row of, these are beams, not blocks, little cubed beams. And once I had the first row in, I simply used snap to grid, or snap to object, I guess you'd call it, using the enter key. And then they just snapped in all the way around and all the way up. And so it was really quite easy. And then I added my top and copied them and put them up there. And then when I got them up there, I used snap to block again for snapping the bottom beam pieces all the way around. So they kind of crisscross all the way around to put those bottoms on. So that's how that was done. And my thought was that on this recording, we will begin to tackle how we're going to build the spiral stairs. There is a set of spiral stairs. Let's just go up into the building here, and I can show you where those spiral stairs should be. Let's see, they are on the south side. They're actually up here. So let's just go on up. Turn on the lights. We are on the second floor, I believe. Where are we? Yes, we are on the second floor. This is the south stairwell, which I still have not put in. That's the basement. I got the basement all floored. And so this stair will come up to the ground floor. And the doorway that goes to the spiral stairs is actually right here. Right there. That is a double thick wall, and the stairways fit inside. Now, I don't think that I can fit a stairway inside of a double thick wall. And so the challenge is going to be how we fit this in. Now I'm thinking we could come out a little bit here. Maybe not the full width or the full length of this room, but just to accommodate the stair. Come out a bit and change these walls from beams to planks so that they're thinner. But I am indeed going to have to tear out this thick wall here in order to build my stairs. And let's just tear through some blocks right here so you can see what we're dealing with. So there we are. That is the thickness of the wall here. It's double thick on both sides. So it actually, and I made it double thick only up here. Down below, it's a single thickness of wall. So we have a little bit of space right here. Now this could be replaced with a plank. I just need to figure out, let's see if I put in, turn on the grid, and then we'll figure out how many blocks we have. And I'm just holding the beam so that we can see the grid, otherwise we can't see it. it looks like we would have like a 9 squares to work within. So we would need to put maybe a round log in the center, fairly thin, maybe half a block wide. And then our let's just play around with this. Our steps could let's try this again. Lay down, there we go. Our steps could angle out from the center and go up. And I'm thinking it's going to go up a quarter turn per level, maybe a full turn per level. It has to come out up there, or up, not there, but in the prospect room. It goes up pretty far. It has to come out facing the interior, so it has to come out facing that way. And the question really is how to make that happen. And I guess we're just not going to know until we start building it. The question is, do we build it in here, or do we build it outside and then bring it in here? And do I need to experiment with it first? Will I be really upset if I tear all this out and then it doesn't work? Yes, I will be really upset. Let's see, if this is the level where it needs to come out, I believe. Let's just go up there and be sure. I'm pretty sure. Yes. No, it needs to go up one more. So this puts us in the prospect, or in the Clara story, and then we need to go up one level more to come out in here. So this is where that step will go. And so the doors are like right here where this comes out. But I don't want to put a hole through there. What to do? Now, what I could do is bring this out one more block in here, which would mean we're going to build towards us into the great room and not into, yeah, I'm afraid that might be the only way to do it, because I don't want to go out that way, because that would make the outside be completely off center. If I have to build out here to accommodate my stair, that would make this building completely off center and look terrible. So I'm going to have to go in here and down. That's the way I'm going to have to do it. So let's just go experiment. I don't like that much. I mean, obviously it works, but okay, let me come back. Let me play around with the angles that I'm using. 15 may not be enough. You may want to go with 30. And let me play around with the angles that I'm using and come back, and we will, once I get the proper angle, then we'll build it together. I don't want to spend too much time futzing around. Okay, so here's what I decided to do. I did a little experimenting, and actually the first thing I tried basically worked. I decided that not 15 degrees, but 30 degrees was what I needed to do. I know this looks a little screwy, but I think I have a way I can clean up the gaps in the steps so that it works. It's not the greatest, but I think it's actually going to be okay. The important thing is that you can walk up it without bumping your head, and it goes up the correct number of turns and comes out at the correct angle. Now, what I don't have quite figured out is when I add one on top of this, I'm going to need to take this landing out and just turn it until it fits. So I think what I'm going to do is, before I blueprint it, I'm going to take out the extra step here and the landing, so that when I blueprint it, I can then rotate it around so that the next one starts at the right angle and comes out at the right angle. And I believe this will actually work. I'm hoping it will actually work. I do have, I started with a really thin spindle here, or central column here, and I'm going to replace that with a thicker one. In fact, I have one ready to go right here. I'm going to put it, let's see, make sure that's not turned to snap. I'm going to turn on grid. And I don't want it to do that. Let's turn off snap. What is it doing? What is it doing? I can't really tell. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Reached my 1 hour limit on Rising World, and of course it crashed. They've really got to do something about that for us Mac users, because that is just really unacceptable. Yeah, and I just don't know what the answer is. I believe that is the width I want it to be. It's just not in the exact spot I want. I believe that is the exact spot. Let's see if that is the correct width, but it is not the correct height. Let's see, can I go up with it? If I turn off grid, and it moves when I turn off grid. Don't like that. But I think I can position it without the grid. Whoops, not that far up. Okay, I think that's where I want it to be. And now I just need to make sure that it's centered. It is not. Appears to be better. That appears to be just about right. But I, probably don't have these steps perfectly aligned either, because I had to more or less do it without the grid. It just wasn't working with the grid, but it looks pretty close to what I need. It's pretty good. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Is that as tall as it will be? No. Oh, well, poo. Okay, I can just add on to it. That's fine. Put this back down. Okay. And now we should be able to turn on enter, turn off control, and go up here. Go up the steps, please. And hit enter. And how tall is this one? Is it all the way up? Almost. Probably close enough. Yeah, we got a little thing sticking out, but you know what? That's easy enough to fix. Gone. Okay, I'm going to leave that landing there for right now. And I'm going to try to fill in the gaps in these steps. As you can see, coming down it can be done. It's just a little awkward. So here was my idea. I make triangles. Let's see. Item. Wood plank triangle 154. All right. Oops. I think it's this. So and no. There it is. Okay, so here's my thought. We make it the, do we have, I bet we have snapping turned on in some strange way that we don't want it to be. Let's turn that off. Make this longer. Spin it around. And we may need to change the angle at which we're using this. Why is it doing that? Good. Good. Grid doesn't seem to work. Okay, so we do need to change the angle. I think I have it set currently at 15 because the game crashed. So let's see, what do we have it set at? Set R to what? Let's try 15. I think that we already have it set to 15. But let's try to see what that does. 15 isn't going to do it. This is approximately the width, I think, that we need, or the length. Oops. Perhaps it needs to be longer. Okay, that would work, but it needs to be if we make it wider, does that change the, yes it does, it changes the degrees to which it is rotated. So if we went like so, and then remember that corner will be embedded in the wall, so that won't matter. In fact, I'm going to make it just a little bit longer. I don't think that matters. Okay, so if I do that, then I release it and rotate it. Oh, it's at 15, so I have to rotate it twice. And then go over here and adjust. I don't think grid really helps us much. So I guess the only way to do it is to try and get it on the step. Hit Control, use the arrow key to move it in, and then adjust where it is. What I want to do is cover up the step entirely. And that looks pretty good. Okay, release Control. Rotate twice, because we're at 15. Get it on the step. Hit Control. Use the arrow keys to move it into place. I'm going to change the set or the positioning to a slightly smaller number. I think it's on 10 right now. So I'm going to go to set P to 5. Now that should move it in slightly smaller numbers. Yes, that's better. That's just about where I want it. Okay, so that's my thought for cleaning up those steps. Let's see how that looks. Oh yes, that's much better. Looks pretty good. Okay, well that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean up these. Steps. I'm going to remove the landing at the top and the extra step at the bottom. Then I'm going to blueprint these, and then in our next session, we will attempt to put these into the building in that little space and see what happens. It should be fun. Okay, that's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed our little experiment with building a very tiny, narrow spiral stair that we're going to fit inside of a wall. And we'll see you next time. If you've subscribed, I want to thank you very, very much for the support. I hope you'll keep coming back. I think the building is growing and going to become much more fun as we begin to put all the embellishments on the outside and finish up the structural things that we need to do, and then begin our decoration. Well, actually, we will do the big move before we begin the interior decoration. But we will try to get as much of the structural stuff done and the embellishment done to the outside before we move it. So I expect it to be another couple of weeks, at least, before we move the structure. I hope you'll stick around for that. And if you liked what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. And if you know anybody that plays Rising World, tell them about this stream if they like to build. And if you don't know anybody that plays Rising World, or you haven't tried it yet yourself, it is in alpha, like I said. For me on the Mac, it does crash about once an hour, but everything is saved. I've never lost anything yet, so it's not a terrible thing. I do hope they get it fixed, but I can put up with that. It's early in the game. So yeah, give it a shot. It's just a heck of a lot of fun if you like to do creative things. And it's also fun in survival. So that's the show for today. And thank you very much for hanging out with me. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.